Hey everyone, and welcome to The Year Was, the podcast all about today that gives you just enough information to effectively be that guy at the party, causing all your friends to question, hey, who invited you? Like, seriously, why are you here? I'm your host, Michael Montalvo, and for the next few minutes, we will open history's door and find out what makes today truly unique. On this episode, we examine the events that occurred January 8th. Hey ladies, you know that feeling when you're walking down the street minding your own business and suddenly you feel as if someone is staring at you? Or how about when some guy walks up to you and tries to flirt a bit? Men, am I right? Am I? Ladies? Well, did you know that there was a time that men could be arrested for looking at a woman with that look? And it wasn't as long ago as you might think. The year was 1902, and on this day, New York Assemblyman Francis G. Landon got a bill passed to criminalize men on the street for looking at women in that way. This meant that you could basically be arrested for PDA, or patent ductus arteriosus, for having personal digital assistants, or the less commonly known and probably incorrect public displays of affection. And it wasn't just PDAs. It also targeted people who were drunk in public. Those affected had the privilege to not only be arrested, but also pay a fine up to $500. According to the Smithsonian article I read parts of, the bill states this: any person who is intoxicated in a public place, or who shall by any offensive or disorderly act or language annoy or interfere with any person or persons in any place, or with the passengers of any public railroad car or ferry boat, or who shall disturb or offend the occupants of such conveyance by any disorderly act or language or display, although such conduct may not amount to an assault or battery, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor, which if you have been paying attention, you of course know, is less than a felony, but greater than an infraction, and equal to jail time and or a fine. William Bennett from New York's 21st District was wrongly thought to have introduced the bill. He later cleared up his stance by stating, I am inclined to think that the circulation of the report that I introduced the bill was intended to injure my popularity in my district, where flirting is regarded as a harmless pastime. I would like to assure the bachelors in my district that I do not entertain the objections to this innocent amusement which have been attributed to me. There is no occasion for their excitement, at least as far as my position is concerned. I don't know why I made him sound like that. It's just how I pictured it. And this wasn't just some one and done thing either. The bill lasted through the 1920s, with Frankie G not the only cool jerk to want to start a war on flirting, as anti-flirting clubs were sprouting local chapters all over the Northeast. This led to March 4th, 1923, the first and only Anti-Flirt Week. They even had a list of rules, I guess, maybe tips, published in the Post that included, among others, number 2, don't accept rides from flirting motorists. They don't all invite you in to save you a walk. Number 4, don't go out with men you don't know. They may be married and you may be in for a hair-pulling match. Number 8, don't fall for the slick, dandified cake eater. The unpolished gold of a real man is worth more than the gloss of a lounge lizard. And number 9, don't let elderly men with an eye to flirtation pat you on the shoulder and take a fatherly interest in you. Those are usually the kind who want to forget they are fathers. Here's a bit of interesting side note. While there were clubs in Manhattan, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and others, it was Manhattan's club that was headed by men. The New York Times wrote, the 5 men forming the nucleus of the organization say that in New York streets, especially in the theatrical districts, hordes of pests of the masher species are carrying their activities to the point where no woman is safe from approach and insult. The association intends through publicity to educate public opinion to the point where a woman will consider it her duty to prosecute the masher who attempts to force his attentions upon her. The association intends to have its own counsel who will aid in prosecuting all masher cases. A masher here is not a device to mash potatoes, but instead a man who makes unwelcome sexual advances. The bill would last through the 1920s and then seemed to run its course by the late 1930s when the media stopped covering it. And that's going to do it for us today. If you like this podcast and want to hear more, give us a rate and a review. That helps me out and helps me steer this in a direction that is hopefully good for all. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find the audio version on your podcast app of choice. Links in the description. You can find me on social media and at YouTube at the Apple Cider Club. And as always, I want to thank the Tim Kreitz Band for our musical theme. And I thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. I wrote this episode earlier and I thought of the Sylvester Stallone movie Judge Dredd, and whenever I was going in there I kept thinking, I never broke the law, I am the law. I can't do Sylvester Stallone, but I never broke the law, I am the law. I am the law. I am the law. Wow. I am the law. I can't do it. I'm not going to put this in there. It's fine. I got something stuck in my throat. It's right here. It's going to make me sound like Nick Nolte. I've spoken.